This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we'll complete the remaining part of the Linux and Perfmon. So, so most of you have this question, right? I mean, why you have to how to generate this Nmon tool and how to generate a report using Nmon utility. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to download something called Nmon Analyzer. Okay, last time in the last class, if you remember, we have given a command to generate an Nmon report where it will clearly record all the activity in the diagrammatic representation. Okay, like you can see all the graphs, all the utilizations of all the resource metrics from Nmon. And if you want to, I mean, analyze that report, you need to download something called Nmon Analyzer. Okay, this is how it looks like. V66 is the latest version which got released in 2020 or 2020. So if you go here and if you open this, right, this is the document that I have. So you need to enable editing and you need to click on analyze Nmon data and you have to select this Nmon file to see how it got recorded. So let us go back to the Linux machine and see how we can generate it. Okay. You guys able? I mean, you're able to see my screen, right? The full screen mode.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So okay. Let me for a better simulation, you have some few code snippets where you can generate something like the CPU spike, or if you want to bring the CPU to 100%, right? You have some snippets for that from the Linux community. Like that helps you to, I mean, it can generate some dummy traffic on the Linux machine, so that there is also called another utility called stress. Okay, you can install that stress ng tools to simulate some dummy traffic, and you can see the performance of the Linux. For example, if you go to monitor, okay, this is the document. If you go, these are all the main documents. You can take a screenshot of this one. Okay, if you remember last time, what we did was, okay, so the first thing you need to install the Nmon. We have already covered that part in the previous session. After installing, if you just type Nmon, you can see the utility like this. It will list you with all the statistics by using a single key. If you want to see the CPU, if you type C, you are seeing the CPU statistics now. If you're whatever the CPU statistics that you're seeing, you're seeing the user percentage, system percentage, weight percentage, and other idle steel, something called, I mean, close to zero, right? Even the average is 0.6 if you see here. Now, what I'm doing is cat proc CPU info command will tell you the, oh, sorry. This command will tell you the complete information of your processor. Okay, how many processors you have, what is the CPU family, how many threads you have, how many CPU cores you have. This is a 4-core CPU, and you have all the complete details of the CPU. Okay, so even if you remember this command, export nmon, okay, equal to mntc, type nmon. it is consolidating all the main resource level metrics with respect to CPU, memory, network, and disk IO. It is clearly telling you, it is clearly showing you all the parameters in one single page. So if you want to record all the activity here now, and if you want, for example, if you have a requirement saying that from this, I'm sorry. For example, if you have a requirement saying that now some 20,000 records will be pushed in one go onto this Linux machine. Okay, there is some for when I'm testing on CA APM from the Linux machine. What it will do is it will push some 2,000 data, some 2,000 records of data to the server, to the database server, and all the data will get inserted. And the same Linux machine will get the 40,000 records of data from some other CentOS machine. So when that data is pushed, or when that data is, sent to this specific Linux machine, so at that point of time, if I want to check all the utilizations of this Linux machine, you have to use N1 utility. Okay, so now what I'm doing is, you have to use I have already explained you this command, right? nmon -f -s2 -c and -30. I'll send you this document. I have given space actually. Yes. Okay, this is one command, or you can also execute this command. Now I gave a command to record all the resource, to capture all the resource metrics and utilizations like CPU, memory, network, and disk from this Linux machine. Now it will start creating the N1. So if you want to, if you want to generate some dummy traffic, or if you want to make your CPU to utilize 100%, there is one command called yes. Yes. Okay, this is the command. If you give this command, right, what will happen is it will create a dummy process, and it will wantedly create some stress on your CPU. It means that it will make this Linux machine to utilize the CPU to 100%. If you want to utilize it, you have to run this command. If you see, every time I run this command, it is creating some ID, right? So if you want to create some stress on your CPU, you have to run this command for multiple times. Like I am executing it for 7 to 8 times, and I'll wait for some 30 seconds to 1 minute. Okay, so what it will do is, it will create some dummy traffic, and it will wantedly stress the CPU. It will bring the CPU to 100%. So if you still have some doubts, you can run this command again. So this, when you type this command, right, this null command, it will continuously iterate the process, and it will wantedly stress the CPU. So if you don't kill this command, it will keep hitting the CPU, and it will stress the CPU continuously. So what I want you to do is, you have to make sure that you are killing all these processes that are created, which are stressing the CPU. Okay. Now what you have to do is, you just need to let us see if the CentOS, I mean, if some nmon file is created or not. So for that, you need to go to WinSCP. Okay. So I'm directly logging to this machine, the Linux machine. Now, if you see here, there are 3 files created. There is one
Not
file.
sure. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk later. But average load, right? Does it mean it is across the board, across the
Right.
course?
Right. Average load is across the time for all the resources. It is taking the complete average load of the entire Linux machine.
Is it possible you can share anything on the CPU? I mean, later on, not now.
Yeah. I'll share that. I'll share that. I mean, by looking at this report, you will understand again. So
It always
yeah.
confuses CPU time and CPU utilization. I mean, it's the same, but
No. See, I mean, I'll come back to your question. Give me 5 minutes because I have one document. Okay. So there is one document that has been created, something called 158 KB. It is 134 in the night I have created, I guess. So these are 2 documents which we have created just now, right? So what we can do is, I'm selecting the desktop on my local. So and I want to copy this, my 200. Okay, this is the 158 command is this one. Okay. Okay. So now what I'm doing is kill all -s, right? So I'm killing all the processes, I mean, which are stressing the CPU. You have to do this if you want to create, after creating the dummy traffic or additional stress on your CPU, you have to terminate all this process. Okay, now I got some files here. So what I'm doing is I'm just selecting all these files and I'm transferring to my local. Okay, you can just simply drag and drop, so that what it can do is it will bring all the reports that are created in your Linux machine to your local host. It is one of the easiest way to bring your the files from the Linux machine to any of your Windows machine. You can use Windows SCP. You can access both the machines simultaneously, access all the folders. You can bring all the folders that you need from this machine to the local machine very easily by using something called WinSCP. Okay, so we'll go back, and I have already opened this one, the Nmon analyzer. I downloaded that from, you can, if you simply search Nmon analyzer, it will take to you some it will take you to some sites, some Linux community sites, and you can download this zipped folder, Nmon analyzer. You have so many versions, don't worry about the versions. Every version can help you to analyze the data. Okay, once you open this one from here, when you double click this Nmon analyzer, it will open the Nmon analyzer, and once you click this analyze Nmon data, it will ask you to upload only the Nmon files. Okay, the Nmon files are, we have given the command, the time interval, everything, right? By whatever the timeline or whatever the in how many seconds, by defining the refresh interval, in what way you want to capture in the command, you can do it in different ways. I am sending you the document after this class. Sorry. So you can select any of the file here. Okay, and it will analyze all the, it is analyzing all the metrics, and it will open for you. Did you see here? What happened here? Are you able to see my screen? Guys there?
Yep.
Okay.
It's
So
actually IO utilization versus CPU.
it is, yep. If you can see the spikes, it is the CPU reached 100% here. If you look here, the CPU reached 100%, and if you look at the disk utilization also, it went to 90%, 65%, and we ran only for 1 minute, right? Not more than 1 minute. So 25.
Only at the beginning, only it happened, but rest of the time still the IO is good. Even
Right, because I don't have anything on my Linux machine, but if you look at my CPU, right, the CPU has some it reached maximum of 56. Sorry, it reached the maximum of 99 percentile. The reason is because when you run that command, whatever I have shown you that command, right, dev some null command, it will directly take the CPU to 100%. So likewise, you will get all the different metrics. If you look here, you also have the disk summary, okay, and you will see the metrics like this. So at what time, what happened to what? So it is the disk total, the time. It is the disk writes, disk reads, and IO per second. Okay, so you can also clearly see like what exactly happened. If you see here at 8:29 the minute 29 seconds, if you see the highest there are highest disk reads at this point of time, and you can also see at 80:30:29 you can see 11.5, 11.4. And by looking at these graphs, you can easily understand what happened to this disk utilization. Okay, you can also see with all the numbers. Accordingly, you can give some recommendations. And please remember, this is not a rocket science. This is simply capturing a report, capturing all the resource utilizations, especially with respect to memory, CPU, disk, and network. That's all, nothing else. If you look at this metric, it is talking about the overall CPU utilization, disk summary, disk size, and you have some other. It will split all the different metrics with respect to disk read, disk write, and you can look at all these metrics and you can practice this. Okay. And someone asked me a question just now. I would like to explain. I'll explain that as well. Okay. So for your question, right? So you need to have a very good understanding on all these metrics. These are the most important metrics that everyone has to understand. What is processor time? If I'm looking at the processor activity, and what is the privileged time, and if you take the processor time, right? So what exactly is the processor time, and what is the bottleneck in a processor time? The basic bottleneck of this particular metric is if it is above 90%, you will say that there is some issue with the CPU, right? So there are other metrics. I have clearly explained like processor time bottleneck is if it is above 90%, then you can directly say there is some bottlenecking issue. Okay. So for the privileged time, if it is above 25%, that is a bottleneck. So, and for user time, if it is below 60, above 65 and consistently 65, it means that there is no issue, but above 65, it will impact the performance again. So for your question, when you ask if you, saying that you have a lot of confusion on total load average and what are all the metrics you have to monitor. If you want to understand all of them, you need to understand the metrics first. Even if I ask anyone here about what is the difference between processor time and privileged time, And if you ask something like what is user time in CPU, no one knows it. So when you work on resource metrics utilization, and when you want to understand the exact bottlenecks from nmon or perfmon of any Windows server or Linux server, where some app server or database server is being deployed, if you want to look at the real activity of that machine, you need to understand these metrics. I have uh, I have written, I have highlighted only the metrics that are very, very important. From the processor, these are the important metrics. Processor means CPU. Processor time, privileged time, user time, and queue length. Okay. If you look at the physical disk, there is something called the ideal time of the disk. Obviously, you will check for the reads and writes, and you will check for average disk queue length. Okay. And coming to the memory, you will check for pages per second, available MB, free MB, and pages file, and bytes total per second. Bytes total per second is the only metric for network. Okay. The remaining, you have three metrics for each of them. I'll send you this document. You read first, then you come back. If you don't understand anything, I'll explain you again. Okay. So you have any questions in generating the nmon report now? No, right?
The average load also important, right? Can we add in that or no need?
See, you asked me about rstat daemon, right?
Right,
Yesterday I tried installing the rstat daemon, but rstat daemon is only for Unix machine, not for Linux. But however, you can also add this rstat daemon for Linux machines as well.
right.
It is failing for some reasons when it is trying to download some packages before I install rstat daemon. I'm still working on it. Once it is working on CentOS machine, I'll show you what rstat daemon is. rstat daemon utility, again, you were talking about the load average, right? It will give you all the metrics. The first metric rstat d will give you is the load average on the entire Linux machine. That is the first metric for rstat daemon. Okay, but I should have one Unix machine from my lab. So if there, by any chance, if I get access to that machine by this week or tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I will install this rstat daemon and I'll tell you how to pull that metrics. I'll show it to you. If not, currently the version that I have is not getting installed on CentOS. I'll install that on Red Hat or Ubuntu and I'll show it to you on Monday. That is only 2 minutes task. You just need to give the command. After installing that utility, it will show you all the metrics. In that, I'll show you what load average is, average load for the entire duration. You can split that into bits and pieces also. Okay.
Perfect.
And so, yeah. Now, another, most of the people ask me about Perfmon. Okay. The common thing that I see in everyone's resume is like, yes, please.
Yeah, how to check is a specific duration, I mean, specific hours, or and how to check is a specific server, I mean, like application server and server and a database server. So, I mean, which server is getting is, I mean, high CPU utilization and high memory utilization is a specific time. How to check that one?
If it is sitting on a Linux, you have to go there and you have to go with nmon utility directly. That is one case. Second case is, again, you can add all these metrics by APM now. This was the old trend. No, actually, no one is. I mean, I haven't seen anyone from the COE using this nmon utility or something. Now we have all the metrics and we have a specific agent for every web app DB servers that we have. We download that agent, we install, configure that agent to the target server, and we try to pull all the metrics for that specific duration. Because in the APM, you have something called custom history. You can select the time frame of that server for the last 24 hours, last 7 days, last 6 hours, last 4 hours, and you can also select the date by calendar, time, and day. That is how you can pull all the metrics. high CPU utilization, you can directly understand from all the metrics that you have. You have hundreds and hundreds of metrics for every server. Even Perfmon has so many metrics for a processor. I'll show you that. No, like how many metrics, if you, for example, if you take CPU or memory, for each one of them, how many metrics do we really have?
Okay, is it possible to get a specific environment?
Yes, but I don't think so. You will not get any access to the prod environment, but you can get access to all the servers on staging environments and prod-like environment and dedicated performance environment, also for test environment. I mean, it depends on whatever you call it, but you can get all the access to all the servers. And if they are Linux machines, you can go there and you can pull this report. But nowadays, this is not really required. If you are using AppDynamics or Dynatrace or CA-APM, these are not really required. You can simply select that server. You can configure that server, the target server. Once it is being, whatever the activity that is happening on that server, everything is captured by the APM tool when it is properly configured with an agent.
So,
You can also
RK,
pull a report. Yes, sir.
do we have any other tool, open source tool for this APM, like apart from this new Lake and AppDynamics and other tool?
So you have so many tools. For example, I mean, there is New Relic, there is Nagios, there is Monit.
Open source, I must.
Open source tools also we have, but I don't. I mean, you will have so many limitations to that, because the reason is it will not have the complete list of features that can be monitored on any server. When you call it open source, it is the capabilities of that particular APM will be always limited. Okay, that is why the reason we have commercial. I mean, to some extent, the open source tools can suffice your need, but it will not pull the complete picture of what exactly happened from the server.
Okay.
Okay, for example, if you want to monitor network related metrics, right? There is something called NPM. SolarWinds. Okay, SolarWinds is an open source, which is a network performance monitor. You can directly install it on premise. You can simply run the .exe file, and you can look at all the network related metrics. I have that software with me, but I did not install it. Let me install it. I'll show it to you how to monitor all the network related metrics. That is one open source, to show you the example of one open source. But again, it will not capture all the metrics from the network side.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a severe cough. So
I heard about this Grafana also.
that's what it purely depends. If you want to, if you are using JMeter, if you are
Right.
using InfluxDB, if you have a Grafana, okay. If you, for example, you have a ELK stack, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. If your data is completely stored in a search engine and a database like Elasticsearch environment, where so many trillions of records are stored, okay. So if you want to manage and monitor all the instances in that Elasticsearch, it can happen only through Kibana. Kibana, again, it has got its own dashboard to monitor all the activity from the Elasticsearch. So keeping in mind all this, the emerging tech stack, right? Keeping in mind all the companies, product-based companies, or Dynatrace or CA-APM, what we are doing is we have already created agents. We have created agents for Kafka. We have created agents for Spark. We have created agents for Docker, Kubernetes, Elasticsearch. We have created almost agents for everything. And what these companies will do is they sell it. There is something called pay model. If you say me that, boss, I have Elasticsearch environment along with Kubernetes and Dockerized environment, I need this is my requirement. When you list down all your tech stack, So my sales guy will recommend you to give a try. I'll give you 1 month trial, and I can customize my features according to your need. I mean the stakeholders' need, and I give a tenant ID, which in tenant ID, you know, right? Every customer who have their own requirement, I mean, he cannot buy the license for all the servers. He says that I want to monitor Azure and GCP along with Docker and Kubernetes. So I want this. So I'll set a model and I'll give it to him. When you give this tenant ID is unique to that particular customer. When he logs into his Dynatrace or CA APM after buying it, he can see only the agents for Azure, AWS, Docker, and Kubernetes. That's all. That is nothing but tenant ID. Every time the user logs in with the tenant ID, depending is on requirement what he has chosen, he can see all the features that are there in the CA APM or Dynatrace that he bought. Okay, so the final answer for everyone's question here is, do not worry about the open source. If you have the best industry tool, right, like Dynatrace or AppD or New Relic or Splunk or CA APM, these are the top 5 tools. It will monitor you. It will monitor everything: network, web servers, app server, database servers, client side, server side, and the load balancer side. You can also monitor the load balancer's activity. So, so this is the answer for all your questions. And
But
okay, yes, sir.
Splunk also is like an APM tool, or it's just like it won't give more features, right? Splunk.
Splunk again, it is it has got some specific limitations. If you want to go with the profiling activities, right, to understand what exactly happened from index X or what happened with the repositories, it can create graphs, reports, alerts like any other APM, but mainly used for application management. So it can create some same like APM. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But mostly helps to analyze the data. When you have some huge volumes of data, right, it will analyze the data first. That is the primary point of Splunk. Okay.
Yeah, I use Splunk, but that's why my doubt.
And it is a total free version actually.
Okay.
Completely free.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So now tell me, what do you do with Perfmon? So how
So
many of you
Windows,
worked on?
it's an Windows monitor, right? I mean, it's basically, I guess even our load runner also, it is going to take whatever the metrics that comes from the Perfmon and convert into dashboard when you are executing that test. When you add whatever the metrics for a particular server or your load generator, usually it gets those metrics from the Perfmon and then convert into your dashboard. I mean, usually when you are running the test, whatever it is, CPU, memory, whatever it is. When you go to the, especially Windows Perfmon means, you can go to task manager, and you already showed that also. Then you can add the monitors also and see, what the server is doing. Basically, it's metrics.
Right. So how can I open my Perfmon?
Just put Perfmon and not in the run command. Hit OK, then you get that.
One way. Sometimes if it don't works, right, you can give Perfmon exe or Perfmon MSC. Okay. Else you can directly go to control panel, system and security administrative tools. Okay. If you are not able to open from run command, you can open like this. Okay. Basically, if you look at the performance here, this is the monitor. Okay. I mean, I think I have only one metric here. I'm deleting that. So if you want to add the metrics, right? So how do you do that? Any idea? So basically, what it does is Perkman. What it does is it will capture all the different metrics with respect to mainly with respect to CPU, memory, disk, okay, and other parameters you have. You can, by using this Perkman, you can also connect remotely to another Windows machine, and you can also get all the details of that machine as well. And the third point is you can create alerts on this Perkman. Okay, so the first thing is what you need to understand is how do you add monitors? Do you have any idea, anyone, how to add monitors in Perkman? Can you tell to the
We need to click that plus symbol and then add counters.
Okay.
So based on the machine, I mean whether it's in a .NET application, if it is having .NET app server processes, specific to those counters also will be available in addition to basic counters, right? And similarly, SQL Server related process details also you can get.
Even if any of your server, any server, if it is installed on a Windows machine, you can go there and you can check, you can add all these Perkman metrics. Okay. Basically, for example, if I take, we'll talk about hard disk. Is one of the most heavily used resource in any of the server. Okay. You take hard disk, it is the one of the most heavily used resource. And for example, if you have a mailing application, right? Every time you have you are sending mails, you are receiving mails on your Outlook, you will see the biggest impact on the disk. Okay, so for that reason, if you have some mail server, or if you're testing on any mail server, right? If you're doing some performance testing on any mail server, email server, or some file transfer server, file server, or UI server, where it is handling too much of data. So what you can do is you need to keep an eye on the disk activity. Okay. So when you say this disk activity, you have to ensure that there are no bottlenecks or latencies when you are using this metrics. The reason for adding all these metrics with respect to disk are we are trying to identify the bottlenecks and how it is impacting, what values you are seeing, and when it comes to monitoring, or when we are checking the performance of that server, we use this. The best tool on any Windows server, the inbuilt tool is Perfmon, which is also called Performance Monitor. Okay. So here you have a lot of options. You can directly monitor the data in real time, and you can configure the data collector set, which is for a specific time, and you can also create some kind of values. Okay, I mean you can create some alert, performance counter alert. Like if the CPU on this server is greater than 90%, you can ask this Perfmon to give an alert to the user. I mean, that is nothing but it is you who is accessing this Windows machine. Okay. So the first point is I am selecting my laptop. If you go to the processor activity, right? Okay. These are all the metrics I have. If I, oh sorry, now I'm selecting all these metrics from processor. Okay. And please. Okay. These are all the metrics, and by default I have to select all instances. When I click on add and I click OK, it will invoke all this metrics of the processor, and it will clearly show you what exactly happened, what is happening during your load test. Okay, if this is an SQL server which is installed on your Windows machine. Okay, now you are able to see all the metrics, right? This is one point. And if you want to monitor the IO activity on a disk in real time, how do you configure performance to performance counters? This is the only way, right? I've selected all my disk metrics and I have added, and I'm looking at what is happening with all the metrics in terms of disk. This is, I just added that and I left like this, but I want I want to monitor my disk activity over a period of time. Let's say that I'm starting a test in the next 1 hour. So I want to monitor, now the time is 8 o'clock, right? I'm starting a test from 9 o'clock. I want to monitor my performance activity, this Windows Server activity where my SQL Server is installed from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So how do you do that?
Windows
Basically,
scheduler.
basically, you can upload this into the Excel right after test is done, and put a time limit, and you can upload. That's what we did, and export to the Excel
Okay.
with a comma delimited value or something by selecting that, and then export into Excel.
Okay. So I'll show you here. So what you can do is, but when you export, right, it exports all the data.
Numbers.
If I
Yes.
want to capture all the data for a period of time, for example, 30 minutes or 1 hour, so I give the start and end time, right? That is how I do it. Or I manually start my process before I start my test, and after completion of my test, I'll just simply stop it. Okay, now I open my performance monitor. Okay, I went to data collector sets and I clicked on user defined. Then I'm selecting something called data collector set. Okay, I am naming this data collector set as processor. I am creating manually. I'm not creating a template. So I click on next, and what do you select here,
First one.
right? And this is where you add the counters, right? Now what I want to monitor is like physical disk, right? To monitor when it is disk, what do you monitor?
Reads.
This is the disk. If you want to monitor, you have to select physical disk. Yeah. So you can select all of this. Okay. What I'm doing here is please don't mind, my system is very slow today. I don't know why. Okay, I'm selecting all instances here and I'm clicking on add. Okay, I click OK. So you can give any interval. It will refresh for every 15 seconds, and I simply click on finish. Okay. Do you see this something called the data collector set which has been started under user defined? So I go here, and what I do is okay. So I go here. Now I just started my test. So I simply click start. Okay. So what it will do is it will capture all of them. we did not delete the previous metrics, right? So we'll wait for some 30 seconds and then we can stop. So every time, right? This is only when you are monitoring an individual disk. Okay, whatever the data that you get, even if you have some multiple disks, like 2 or 3 disks on this server, it will give you the consolidated information. If you want to monitor the disk activity as a separate one, right, individually, there is a separate process for it. So mostly you will have one single disk on a server, okay, with high capacity for a better performance as a best practice. But when you have one or more physical disks, right, if you want to monitor the disk activity individually, then there is a separate process for it. And instead of selecting all instances, you go select and go there and select the type of the priority of the disk. It will ask you for the disk which one you have to select. For example, you have seen that you have seen me selecting the all instances process, right? I mean all instances option. From there, it will list you other available disks. Accordingly, you can select the disks and individually you can generate a report. Okay. Now I am stopping this process. And if you want to look at the report of this particular processor, right, you can go here and check. This is the report of a particular time where I have created a data collector set. Okay. If you see here, you can see all the metrics of that particular time. I have captured all the metrics for 1 minute, right? These are all the metrics, and you can see all the graphical representation of data. And if you go here, you have different options. This is, you can change it, the line bar, or I prefer mostly the report. If you directly go to the report, right, it will tell you all. It will give you the complete values of all the metrics in a physical disk. If you see here, the highest value is average disk bytes per read. It is 56. Okay, and if you look at this 94,000, it is disk bytes per second. And if you disk writes is also relatively same to disk bytes 91,637. If any of the metrics, if you see some abnormal numbers, you can easily find the bottleneck from here. Got it? This is very simple. This is very, very simple. You have any questions till here?
If
Mostly
you have
this will be the scenario. Okay, this is the scenario. You have to run when you run a test with 4 hours or 5 hours, you simply create a data collector set, you name it, and you manually start it after starting your test, or simultaneously when you start your test. You stop the same process. Okay, you can bring all your metrics that you want to monitor with respect to memory, CPU, everything, whatever the available metrics you have. And when you stop the test, you can simultaneously stop this data collector set and you can publish this report. You can simply click here, you can go back, and if you click here report, it will list down all the values here. Got it?
So the same thing for multiple servers also, right? You can just the one you selected, your QL6, the same way you can select whatever. It's going to give you the list out options.
I can give you the simple best. If you have multiple disks, create one data collector set for disk 1, create data collector set 2 for disk 2. If you have 4 disks, you create 4 data collector sets for all the 4 disks. This is the simple way. You can directly say that disk 3 is the problem. If you, there is another process, if you follow that, there is some additional work where you need to separate, where you need to select some different instances, different values, and you can, I mean, you unwantedly, you can do some mistakes without knowing, I mean, by mistake, you can do some mistakes by selecting some wrong values, and there are chances to share that information to the client as well. So if you have 4 disks, select 4 data collector sets for 4 different disks. Okay. So I have, I think I have some values. Let me see. I copied that. Okay. You look at this one, right? These are the disk related metrics for everything that you are monitoring. So most of the people ask me this question, sir, how do you know, how do I know there is a bottleneck with this metric? Okay. For every metric, there is some healthy value. There is some value which is acceptable with any number of users. Okay. If you take the disk, or if you want to know what is percentage disk read time, it is the amount of time your disks are being reading the data. The time it takes, the time for a disk that it is taking to read the data that it is taking. Okay. It should be less than 15 to 20%. If you take disk time or disk write time or idle time, the disk idle time, if it is over 85%, that is a bottleneck now. Okay. Queue length should be always 1. This is the one of the most important metric of a disk. It should be 1 or 2. It should be less than 2. As we conduct tests with n number of users, it should be always 1 or 2. If it is the queue length is 5, then it is saying that it is taking too much of time to read, write, and to do other activity on the data processing activity from the disk side. Okay. So disk reads and disk writes are also equally important. It should be always less than 70%. Don't go with 80. It should be always less than 70%. 70 to 80, it is there. The difference between 70 to 80 is 10%. When you see 80%, it means that you can see the latency issues, or you can see the bandwidth issues, or you can see the high response times. It can impact the performance in any other way. So every time when you consider the point called performance of any server or any metric, you always go with the least value. 70 to 80%, your good performance, you can achieve that only by when you see something less than 70%. When you go 80% or 79%, it means that the disk started utilizing beyond anticipated capacity. Now it will go after 80%, it will reach 80, 90%, the disk gets full, or some parameters are not working, and obviously the performance will be impacted. So I'll share this document. So this is all about Perfmon and Nmon. Nmon again, I told you, right? Oracle VirtualBox installation, CentOS installation, and try all the commands. Some basic commands. If you want to install some packages, if you want to install Nmon tool, how you have to install. That is not a rocket science. If you say me, if any one of your if any candidate who comes for an interview is telling me that I have installed on Nmon, so how did you install Nmon? This is how I'll install Nmon. Okay, it is already installed. That is why it is saying installed. Okay, how do you open Nmon? You open like this by simply typing Nmon. How do you go back from Nmon? By simply typing Q. It is nothing but quit. Okay. So how do you open top processes? Everything is a process. You must be knowing, right? So simple, creating a directory like make directory Narayan. Okay. Then ls. I don't have anything. To know in which directory you are, you simply type pwd. It is in root. My td Narayan is nothing but changing directory to Narayan. Then ls will list down everything here. Okay. So if again you type pwd, it says Narayan. If you want to go back to root, Again, if you want to go back to any root directory, you just simply type cd dot dot and it goes to root. So these are all basic commands. Okay, so install the Oracle box, CentOS, try to install this Nmon, and there is another tool called SAR utility. Let me try. Okay, okay. So practice all these things. I'll share this information, and this is all about Perfmon. Perfmon is a very simple thing, and one last thing in Perfmon is let me delete this one. The report also gets deleted, I think. Yes, the report also gets deleted if you for example, if we want to create an alert. Yes, sir.
Report is offline, right? When you delete that processor, then why the report is going to delete? Because it's going to be offline, right? That report is?
No. So once you create the data collector set, it will delete the complete information of that particular data collector set. That's why the reason you should not delete the data collector set. So if you create the data collector set, then only you will be able to see the report.
Right.
Okay. So again, if I go back, data collector set, for example, I create like this CPU over 90. Yeah, I create manually. I'm creating an alert here. So I create a performance alert. Yeah, I click on next. And I go here, add. Yeah, now I'm at my processor. Select only processor time. Yeah, click on OK. Above what? Limit is 90, right? Nice. Okay, it is asking. I forgot my password. Okay, so this is how you create. Or I will, let's see. We'll create.
Maybe it's your login ID.
Okay. So this is how you create a data collector set. Okay. For if you want to create a data set, or if you want to create a performance alert for a specific value, you can create for memory, you can create for CPU, you can create for disk for a specific metric. If you already know that the specific metric has gone very high in my last test, you can create that metric and you can see what is happening. Okay, there is a lot to know about performance monitor also. I mean, and again, if you want to go in depth with each and every option, that is not really required for all the performance engineers. But this is very basic for every performance engineer to understand the Nmon utility, the SAR, at least the native monitoring, okay, the data capturing from the metric side, from the resource metric side mainly. Okay, so what I want you to do now is, create VirtualBox, practice some commands on that on Linux, get some basic understanding on Linux. You have 3 flavors. That is a basic question. Ubuntu, CentOS, and Red Hat. Just read the difference. Prefer CentOS, or you can also install Red Hat. Any version 7 to 8, Red Hat 7 or Red Hat 8, CentOS 7 and CentOS 8. Ubuntu is a bit complicated when you compare with the CentOS and Red Hat. So I would ask you to prefer CentOS. Bring that image, create on VirtualBox, or if you have some money, go to Contabo and buy a Linux machine. It is $4 per month. That is the cheapest box you can get. Okay, you need not maintain anything. You can go to Contabo, you can buy a machine, $4 per month, approximately some. The first month you will have some $5 extra as a processing fee. From the next month, you will have some 600 to 700 per month. If you have that machine, you can directly log in by using remote desktop. You can install MobiXtem like this. I can help you from where you can get this crack version. This will get expired. This will not get expired. I am using a crack version now. I can help you with the path. You can buy that machine and you can practice as much as possible on Linux machine, because going forward and every server, every new instance will be created only on Linux for better performance and security reasons. No server will be 95%. No server will be installed on Windows. And working on Windows will not teach you anything. But whereas if you want to access, if you want to store some files, access that files, you have to do everything with the command in line. In that way, you will get some learning from the Linux point of view. So you install Nmon, you install SAR, pull a report, install WinSCP, and do some hands-on exercise on this Perfmon. That is all about for today. We'll talk about the JVM tuning. So I'll ask some basic questions that day before I start. So what is the thread? What is the thread state? How we have to analyze? I'll also explain some case studies and how often we have to take on this.
I think voice is breaking. Okay.
Is it better now?
Not really.
Okay. We'll talk about all monitoring the GC activity, GC performance concerns, memory monitoring tools. So before we step in there, you need to have some basic understanding on what is JVM and how an application is deployed. Please go through that so that you tend to understand the concepts very easily. You'll not feel it like for the very first time that you're hearing it. So the basics, you go through the basics first. So it will help you when I teach you this class. Okay, JVM tuning and Java profiling. All right. So
Yeah, okay. I have one question. Can I ask now?
yes, sir. Please go ahead. We have to 10
I know
minutes left.
we are going to cover CA/APM at later. Just one question about on-premise CA/APM 10.7. Would it be possible to integrate it with 12.63 Performance Center?
I'm not sure. I have to check on that.
Okay.
10.7 is the latest one, right? I have to talk to my team.
Okay, because the documentation in Performance Center, they clearly mentioned that the SaaS version, but I don't know whether it is really feasible to integrate through that monitor option in Performance Center. Just wanted to check with you. No problem. Thanks.
Okay, but there should be some the version which is about to release. Okay, so there must be that option available in that. I'll just cross check with the team, because there are different teams who are working on that integrations part. You spoke about HP ALM Performance Center 12.63.
Yes, 1.63 version, and they mentioned about.
Because, can you WhatsApp me the details, because I'll forget again. So
I'll WhatsApp it.
All right, thank you. And
this the place where we can buy this Linux machines is Contabo, is it? Okay.
Yeah, yes, you have so many different cloud vendors. You can check,
okay.
because I like the Contabo personally.
Okay.
So you can do R&D from your side, because this is the cheapest machine we can get. This is the cheapest, and the availability of these machines are good. It will not go down at all. I'm using this machine since last 2 years. So this is the name, CONTABO, Contabo. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
All right. Any other questions you guys have?
Yeah. With respect to, I'm not sure. It's too early to asking this question. process with respect to Windows and Linux. So Windows, so the process is with threads, maybe in one thread or multiple threads also, a single process, right? So when we are talking about in the Linux, I heard that there is no concept of thread, everything is process.
Okay.
That's the right answer, or because we speak process and threads when we are talking about the Windows, but when in the Linux,
Mostly we have threads concept everywhere actually. If we don't follow this thread concept or multi-threading concept or concurrency concept from the Java side, we will have so many performance issues. Okay. So the concept of threads is available everywhere to my knowledge, but I
yeah,
don't
I
think
was
so.
asking about the operating system, Linux operating system.
Okay. You mean to say that there is only concept called process, there is no thread in Linux?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not saying so. That's what I was a little confused
No,
on that.
I'm saying that it was your question, right?
Yes.
Yeah, again, that thing I have to get it clarified. The reason is because, even
Right.
I'm not good in Linux,
Yeah,
so
correct. I
I
was
have to.
little even I was confused when I got that question. So my answer was I heard only the process, not thread. I said, but when I said the JVM, then you are right. So everything is thread because it's a Java, right? So that's what I mentioned in the call in the interview. So I want to know from you.
Yeah,
So
I mean, even I heard this actually. There is no concept of something called thread in Linux actually.
uh,
Because all the threads, when we monitored something last week, what I remember is last year, sorry, not last week. So all the threads, right? They are shown as standard processes in Linux. Okay, it's not the kernel. Linux kernel will not specifically show this structures of threads and all. I remember seeing only the processes actually. Okay, I'll clarify this question maybe next Monday.
sure.
So, RK,